do the religious really not care about their beliefs? Or do people have problems with basic comprehension skills? We're going to address that today as I look at what I mean when I say that the religious just don't care. Because, unfortunately for everyone, they really don't. I get this a fair bit, that the religious really do care. We're just being overly critical. And I don't think that's even remotely possible, to be honest. You can't be overly critical of views which have the capacity to shape and far too often ruin people's lives. So, do these people really not care about the beliefs that they hold? And I hold that, yes, that's true, they don't care. At least not in the sense that they've actually thought about it and they actually care if these things are factually true. So let's talk about this a little bit, because I think it's very, very important. Not too long ago, somebody asked me on a video over on the Atheist Experience channel why I keep saying that the religious just don't care. I have no idea if they were religious themselves, but I think they were completely misunderstanding what I was getting at, and therefore, that probably means that other people are as well, so I just wanted to throw that out there just to see if it helps. If anyone has any questions about the things that I say on this channel, by all means, ask below in the comments, and I'll try to make myself clear. That's the one thing about this channel, and one thing that a lot of people have pointed out to me, is that I actually respond. Unlike most religious channels, I actually respond to questions, and I do my best to make myself clear. So if you got questions, use the facilities below. So the simple fact is, as far as I'm concerned, the religious really don't care. But hold up and let me explain what I mean by that. They certainly care about what they believe. They absolutely have an attachment to their faith. They are convinced, most often for bad reasons, that the things in their head are actually true. So don't get me wrong and think, I mean, they don't care about that part, because they do. What I'm talking about very specifically is that they don't care if the things that they believe accurately and demonstrably comport evidentially with objective reality, the same objective reality that all of us live in every single day. That's the part they don't care about. They have an emotionally comforting blind faith to which they are very strongly attached, but it just doesn't stand up to any kind of critical scrutiny. And that's the problem, because I think that we can all agree that faith is a completely meaningless path to anything resembling objective truth. Anyone can have faith in anything, no matter how silly it is. Unicorns, fairies, the Loch Ness Monster. There are real people out there who think that those things are actually real. Well, it sounds just fine to me. Yeah, except it's nonsense. It isn't real. Even things like the flying spaghetti monster, things that were obviously just made up for comedic effect to point out what the religious are actually doing wrong, I wouldn't be betting against somebody out there, somebody crazy, actually thinking it's true. They've got problems if they do, but I think it's clear that a lot of these people have some very, very serious problems upstairs, almost always of an emotional sort, and that's something I think we're going to recognize that the religious have a lot of. They are going through life looking for comfort, not truth, not fact, not reality. They just want to be happy. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with that up to a certain point. I mean, I want to be happy. I want my wife to be happy. I want my children to be happy. It would be really, really, really nice if we lived in a world where everybody was happy. Nobody had any wants. Everything was just magically perfect, and everybody was happy all the time. but that's not the world that we actually live in. Life, let's be honest, sucks. At least sometimes it does. It really does, though. We try to make it better as best that we can, but if you're looking for a paradise world to live out your days in, wow, are you in for a shock, because that's not the world that we actually live in. That's not what the real world is like. The real world is hard. The real world is full of pain and death and hard work, and if you don't get out there and get the job done, far too often, you just die. I mean, earlier than you would otherwise, because everybody dies, and that's another thing that the religious have going for them. They're afraid of the reality that they live in. This is just not the paradise that a lot of people would like to live in. And too bad for you. Therefore, because the real world isn't what they want, a lot of people just make it up. And that's what religion is, after all. It's a way to feel better about the world in which we actually live and to explain the things that we do not at present know. And I think that at one point in time, there might have been some value in that. Not a lot, certainly, but given a lack of other options, there probably wasn't a lot more that you could do. Today, though, that's really not the case. There is no reason to run to Ireland to kiss the Blarney Stone in hopes that you might find a mate. Maybe in an ironic, culturally derived sense, it's harmless, but to actually believe that crap, yeah, not a chance. But there are still a lot of people out there who would rather believe nonsense than to come to their senses and adapt to the truth. And that's where I say that the religious, and they're certainly not alone in that, but that's where I say that the religious just don't care. Now, I've said this for a very, very long time, but one of the hallmarks of growing up and becoming a mature, intelligent, rational adult, which ought to be the expectation for absolutely everyone these days, is coming to grips with the way that the world actually is. Not the way that you might desperately wish that it was. What you want doesn't matter. What you actually have to work with does. We have seen religion, and remember, it's not alone in this by any stretch of the imagination, but we've seen religion ruin the lives of millions upon millions of people who would rather believe a comforting lie than just open their eyes and deal with the truth. If you believe that Jesus is protecting you with his holy spooge or whatnot, and you don't go out and get vaccinated, then you, my friend, are an idiot. You just are. There are tons of really, really dumb people out there. We all know that. We know that smoking vastly increases the incidence of cancer. This is not a surprise, yet there are still lots of people out there who smoke and do other things because they are morons. Well, it's not going to happen to me. Yeah, but that's just delusion, and you people need to grow up. The religious have the same problem, though. They really, really, really want to believe in their religious faith. In fact, due to the insidious nature of religion itself, their faith often becomes an integral part of their very self-image, such that when disregarding their religion, their entire self-concept collapses and they undergo catastrophic cognitive dissonance. And this isn't healthy. It just isn't. But this isn't just a religious problem, and I keep saying that to stress the fact because it really is important to remember. Any position that is held uncritically through faith or wishful thinking that has the same kind of potential to put you on a dangerous path like that, yeah, that's not something that you should have in your head. Because the rational human mind needs to be able to question. And I don't think that a lot of people have been asking nearly enough questions, or even any questions at all, about the things that their emotions are insisting must be the case. And I've done plenty of posts over on my blog on that lately because it really is a problem. So, when I say that the religious just don't care, I mean that they don't care enough to put their religious beliefs to the test. They can't look at their faith and say, how do I know that? And why do I think that's actually true? Religion becomes a little insulated pocket labeled "Do Not Touch." You're not allowed to ask any questions. You're not allowed to doubt. You just have to believe it and take it all on faith. And churches, that's how they make their money. They want your butt in the pews. They don't want you to ask any questions that would keep your butt out of the pews. And that's why apologetics exist, to make excuses for all of the crap that religion doesn't actually have any evidence for. It all becomes a giant game of make-believe. Don't doubt that, just believe this. Well, that's no more defensible than the original assertion was, because these are all just bald assertions. They don't make any rational sense, and you can't look at them objectively, reasonably, skeptically, critically, and have them make any sense, because they want you to take it all on faith and just clamp down your brain against all challenges. And when you think about it, that is really, really, really stupid. Because if you really think about it, and keep in mind these people really don't, but if you do think about it, anything that is worth believing, anything that actually has any relation to reality, it ought to be defensible. It ought to be demonstrable. But these people are looking for an excuse to believe because the belief just makes them happy. It doesn't matter if the belief is actually true, so long as they get that dopamine shot in the noggin that they're desperately looking for. If someone was out there preaching that Mickey Mouse was coming in his spaceship to save the world from Darth Vader, you'd probably find some people out there that believed that. You'd probably get churches springing up to sing praises to Mickey's name. This is how cults develop, because all of this ultimately is cultish behavior. And at the top, you always have someone with their hand out, because that's always how this works. They always want your money, whether you're talking about the Vatican or Billy Joe Bob down at the local strip mall tossing around snakes for Jeebus. They always want your money because that's what this is about. And it's sad how many people don't understand it. This whole thing is a scam, and billions of people worldwide have fallen for it. And that's a whole lot of really dumb people, isn't it? The simple fact is, people need to grow up and figure out what's actually true in the world that we all share. You don't have to like it. You don't have to approve, but you have to realize that this is true regardless. If the things in your head do not comport with the things that are demonstrably so, then the things in your head are simply wrong. Your feelings don't matter. Your faith is useless. Only reality actually gets you anywhere. Yet most people just don't like that. It's uncomfortable. Well, yeah, so what? That's reality. That is what actually is, whether you like it or not, and the sooner that you come to grips with it, the better. You are not as important as most people would like to think that they are. If that hurts your feelings, too bad. It's time to grow up and learn how to deal with it. Be an adult, or at least try. Care if the things that you accept are actually so, and be ready to challenge them against the metric of actual reality to see if they stand up. Anything that does not, it has to be rejected, at least provisionally, as unsupported and not rational to believe. Anything that seems to, anything for which you can find objectively verifiable evidence that it at least makes sense, you can retain that, again, at least provisionally, until the next time that you challenge your views. And that's the thing. Everything that you believe has to be challenged repeatedly. There is no such thing as this has to be true forever and ever and ever and ever, so there. Because that's just not how things work. And I get it. People are lazy. Trust me, just look around. It doesn't take long to figure that bit out. But really, too bad. laziness isn't a virtue, it's a crutch. It's why so much of religion exists. They want pat answers for morality. This is the rules, and I don't have to think about it anymore because this is the rules, and it's true forever. Yeah, but that's not the way it works. That's just stupid. Follow this checklist and you'll get to paradise. Yeah, except there is no paradise to get to, at least not that we have any evidence for. Stop pushing your feelings and try living in the real world. It's really not that scary once you get used to it, I promise. You just have to recognize the absurdity that you've been filling your head with all this time and grow the hell up. Really, give it a shot. It's not that hard. That's really the problem, though, because these people don't even want to consider the possibility of growing up. It isn't a position that they've reasoned themselves into, so there's no way that they can reason themselves out of their religious beliefs. And just to touch on something else while I'm here, why I just don't randomly engage with theists who I happen to come across in my daily journey, it's because it's a useless waste of time most of the time. Most aren't going to change their mind unless they are ready internally to do so. It's kind of like The Matrix. I mean, the first movie, not all that crap that came after. Most of these people just aren't ready to be unplugged. Some of them never will be. They are going to defend their faith because their faith has become an integral part of everything that they are. They want to keep believing because they just can't imagine life otherwise. Sometimes you'll find a crack in the armor. Sometimes you'll find someone who's willing to take that next step, but it's really, really, really rare. And it's something that you can't do for them. It's something they have to do for themselves. And if you go asking people who used to be religious and who suddenly came to their senses, they'll tell you that. They were not convinced by someone else that they were wrong. In their head, there was a little switch that got flipped, and that's when they said, hey, maybe you're right. Now, to touch on another subject, and let's talk about the tone police for a moment, because I hear from them plenty. They get really, really mad that I'm calling these people stupid. Yeah, sorry, they are. Oh, just because you believe stupid things, that doesn't mean they're stupid. Well, yes, it does. Everything that you say, everything that you think, everything that you believe, it all comes out of your own head. It comes out of your brain. Who else is responsible for this crap? You. So as long as this is what you think and what you preach, you are an idiot because these beliefs are utterly unsupported garbage. I don't care if that makes you happy or not. I don't care about your feelings. Your feelings don't mean a damn thing. Oh, but they won't talk to you then. Okay, then they don't, because those are people who aren't ready to take that next step. As I've already said, the chances of changing their minds is somewhere between slim and none until they reach that internal milestone anyhow. Therefore, I'm going to just continue to criticize the beliefs and the people who accept them uncritically, and if you don't like that, too bad. So sad. Find another channel to watch. Because anyone who doesn't like that, they don't have to be there. This is voluntary. And I'm sorry if it doesn't make you happy. I really am. Actually, I'm not because I don't care. But, do what you want to do. Some people do need seeds planted. Some people need a sledgehammer to the noggin. And I'm personally going after the latter group. You don't like it? Deal with it. Anyhow, that's about all I have to say about that. I'm sure this is going to be a long, boring video, but I hope that it cleared up some questions. The religious, whether anybody likes it or not, they just don't care. They're very passionate about the things that they believe, but they really don't give a damn if the things in their heads are actually true. Because if they did, they'd put them to the test, and let's be honest, if they did that honestly and strenuously, they wouldn't be theists anymore, would they? These things simply do not stand up under the light of rational scrutiny. Not one bit. The only way that you can maintain these ideas is if you actively take steps to avoid intellectual evaluation. And that's exactly what religion does. Don't ask questions, don't ever doubt, put your ass in a pew and your money in a plate. Sit down, shut up, and keep believing. And so long as that's the case, so long as this is about your feelings and not about the facts, these people will continue to be idiots. Welcome to reality. Maybe you people ought to stay a spell. It sure the hell can't hurt.
Boom, dicky, 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 boom.